One of the main laws of the village back during this matriarchal time when women gardeners ruled was to live and let live, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When we broke that law and the first male hunters established cults because you had to hunt in secrecy, of course it was not allowed during this time. So there's the beginning of your first male secret societies right there, because you had to hunt in secrecy. So when they went out to the woods, they hunted and they got a taste for blood or a taste for meat. And meat was like a drug. They would smuggle meat back to the village, and certain people would start sneaking eating meat, and it was against the law. But this was when we slowly start to fall. Before this, no one was sneaking doing nothing. We was all following the rules. I'm just showing you how we left vegan-based human societies to get to these modern meat-eating societies today. It happened with the first males breaking the first laws against the village, and it wasn't exclusive to just males. After the laws was breaking, people start craving meat. So the first male hunters were like the first rock stars to the villages. When we talked about those gender wars, how did we go from Predynastic to Dynasty? It's how did we go from all being vegans to being addicted to meat? Because when we were all vegans, no one ruled over us. And there was no laws against you planting a seed and owning many plants as you want. So it was a golden age. No one starved and everyone ate because we was all vegans, and plants and fruits was abundant. But with all that abundance, there was a couple of males in the villages who broke the laws that was laid down by the matriarchs. And one of the main laws being live and let live, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We broke that law when we started hunting males, and that messed up the natural ecosystem of nature. And ever since then, there was a slow fall from our natural vegan state. And these changes of the human diet coincide with changes of ages and conscious shifts, because how we interact with the land and nature is based upon the state of consciousness we in. You can see we in a very low state of consciousness today, where there's thousands and thousands of slaughterhouses and polluted water, and basically everything that's natural that we naturally need to sustain us is polluted, and everything that's unnatural is what's well kept and going, such as your slaughterhouses and your chemical-based products. Everything that's unnatural is what rules today, and all natural things are becoming more and more GMO and modified. So in order for this unnatural social structure to maintain itself, it has to constantly keep a demand for unnatural things. And that's where we are today. But slowly but surely, the truth is coming back, and you see a lot of people going more toward the natural and the vegan-based thing, because it's the end of this conscious shift. So her story to his story, I'm showing you how we left Eden. Eden is nothing but a time when humans were vegans. Now the Bible told you we left Eden because women bit an apple. I'm telling you, we were kicked out of Eden because men started biting the animals. They told you in the Bible that there was a tree in the middle of the garden that had a forbidden fruit on it. I'm telling you that when you do your research, you see that that forbidden fruit were the animals of the earth. Us humans were the first hunters ever. We was the first predators, and we destroyed our own paradise. So this is truly paradise lost based upon a ripple effect of our actions that took place. And this is really to the males, because your first hunters were males. It took brute force. It took male strength to hunt. And again, most of your women's was still in the garden during this time, dealing with the seeds and the herbs. So if you think of that movie, The Hunger Games, that's what they telling you about, because in the movie, you had the poor people who was in these slums participating in games that was owned by the rich who was wealthy and running everything. And the games were based on hunger. So this Garden of Eden, you can look at the word Eden as literally eating. It was all based upon how we was eating, which was you are what you eat. what we eat and how we think is a symbiotic thing. So you notice that the changing of ages is linked to the changing of human diets. The role of the male during this time was a builder. This is where we get the term mason, which is a builder or a son of the month who builds her house. During this autonomous village time, during this golden age, men, we built the villages, and it was a series of teepee-like huts that were in a huge circle going outward from the central hut, which would be where the matriarch would be. So in the middle of these villages, the great-great-great-grandma and granddaddies would be at the hut in the center, or the huts in the center, and all the families and generations would extend outward from the center. So you can actually trace the family lineage by walking from the middle hut outward, and the far outward you going down the generations. So it's a big ripple effect, and that's what the black stone worship at Mecca is showing you, and what a simple ripple effect in nature is showing you. And I recommend that you go look at my 2 videos on the ripple effect, Rupes nigra, and tie it in with this one, because those videos show the origins of the cosmos according to the ancients. So the son of the ma is the light that emanates from the mother, because the mother represents the darkness. But what happens in darkness come to light. So when a woman pregnant, you know when that belly starts to bulge outward, just like light rays bulge outward from someone who's shining, that would be that mother. She shines through her child or her son. So the mason builds the house of the mother, who is the architect. The word ark is dealing with the pregnant belly. She's the grand architect, or what the Masons call the queen of heaven, is what we call the divine feminine. And men, we are the Masons, or the archangels, who are the builders. She lays the plan, which is the law, that's ma'at, and we enforce the law or build the house. And this is micro and macro, because even when the woman is pregnant, the son or the child builds the house and pitches that tent in her belly. And when that son is born, he go and fetch that wood and builds the house. And this is how it has always been. Women has made up the majority of the teachers of the society, and men have generally known to be the builders of a society. Now, don't get me wrong, we know both sexes are both students and teachers. So this is also a symbiotic relationship. The women manufacture the humans, and the humans manufacture the village. That itself is a ripple effect. And you can see this very same concept in a beehive, with the queen bee manufacturing the bees, and the bees building and maintaining the hive. And wherever the queen decides to move, wherever she lands, each bee abandon the hive and build a new hive around her. So this is a ripple effect. Understand the role of the women is very significant, since they manufacture what we call the human being. The women's job was to teach about the seeds, the herbs, the spices, the plants, show what stuff that was good to pattern gather. They were botanists, show you how to crossbreed, how to plant different plants, which plants are used for herbs, which plants are used for this, which ones are for that. If you look at women throughout history, that's always been their role. And we actually give women fruit for their role in teaching about the secrets of nature through the seeds. The number one sets that make up teachers in today's world are women, and we give them apples. And this is symbolic to represent this golden age when we were all vegans. Now, that forbidden fruit in the Bible is often depicted as an apple. Many argue what it was, but what I'm telling you is the forbidden fruit wasn't the apples and the oranges. It was those beautiful animals in the garden that us men started hunting, and we broke one of the most important laws of nature when we did that. And also by doing that, created the first male secret societies that would rule the world based on your hunger for meat. And I will show you how that's possible. You see, When we depended on plants, we depended on the knowledge of the gardeners, and everyone was gatherers. And again, the word gather is in the word to gather. When we gathered as a family, and it's what helped the family structure stay tight as well. But when the males started breaking the rules, we left gathering societies into hunter-gathering societies. So there was a slow transition. But before we went to hunter-gathering societies, how we fell from the gathering societies, which were the very first ones. The gathering societies are the gardening societies, or what's called a golden age. The beginning of the hunter-gathering societies is the beginning of the new age and the end of that old golden age. We went from hunting, gathering, all the way up into today where it's mostly just hunting. No one gathers anything anymore but a bunch of frozen meat. And the few vegetables you do have is little side dishes. So we're no longer gathering or gardening societies today. We're mainly parasitical or vampire or hunting, predatorial societies today. And I'm just showing you how we fell from that garden, vegan, golden state to this fallen state of just a barbaric nature. And like I said, capitalism, slaughterhouses, and just being predators. So when you look at the evolutionary timeline, you see that these millions of years of gardening-based societies that thrive were hidden behind this Flintstone type human who's a dummy walking around with a big old chicken bone drumstick in his hand. Now that's really blasphemous, because here it is, I'm telling you, we are that dumbed down, ignorant society and generation who's walking around dumbed down, full of meat, or carrying a big chicken drumstick. That Flintstone type of human is us, not the Predynastic ancestors. So do I believe in evolution? To a certain degree. The only thing I think exists is de-evolution. I don't think that the creator that created this beautiful creation needed things to evolve into so-called perfection. They're telling you that things evolve from this Big Bang cosmic soup to primitive, dumb cave monkey-like space monkey humans to people walking around with cell phones polluting the ocean. That's some major leap in evolution, huh? It just seemed like a big zoo or experiment, but that's not the true nature of the Most High. When you study nature, you see it's beautiful and perfect, and the only thing flawed about it is the behavior of the masses upon this earth and the societies we're creating that goes against the system of nature. So I believe everything was created perfect in the beginning, and there was no need for anything to evolve to be greater, because there can be nothing greater than perfection. What the Most High created in the beginning was perfection. What we see today is chaos, and they're trying to maintain order out of that chaos. That's what the New World Order is about. You've been convinced that the world you live in today is smarter and more advanced than the world we find as we rewind time. Well, guess what? That's blasphemy, because if you rewind time all the way back to the beginning, they saying the farther back you rewind it, the dumber the creation get. So you do the math. If you keep rewinding it back, they're telling you that the creator is a dummy, and that when the creator created everything, it was a primitive creation that was dumb as hell, and it had to evolve through man's creation into a beautiful, perfect world with chemtrails, fluoridated water, and cell phones. And this is supposed to be an even swap. It's baloney. The creator created perfection, and that was a natural system that I've been explaining here. That system existed during the Golden Age, also known as the Goddess Age. Her story was hidden behind his story.